Good evening, race fans, and welcome to Podium eSports coverage of the 8th round of Season 2 of Monday Night Racing, the Stand Up to Cancer 160, coming to you live tonight from the virtual Auto Club Speedway in Fontana, California. My name is Blake McCandless, alongside and our producer Ryan Bauer down in the virtual production trailer tonight. And Taylor, looking out at practice, I cannot wait for this race because these drivers are really put to the test with the amount of speed that these Dallara IR18s can carry around the Auto Club Speedway.
Hitting speeds of almost 220 miles an hour in these Dallara IR18s. The draft is going to be exciting. A lot of room compared to the last IndyCar race that we had at Twin Ring Motegi. So this is going to be an exciting race. Of course, we have one of the great races here at Auto Club between Nick DeGroot and Kyle Busch. That rivalry is going to be exciting.
It will be nice to see if that rivalry is rekindled tonight as we take a look at where in the virtual world we are as we approach the west coast of the United States. You'll see right here, Fontana, California, a track that is not going to be around much longer, at least at its current configurations. 2 miles around this racetrack and banking that is 14 degrees in the corners. It's a configuration that especially a lot of these NASCAR stars, they'll have to enjoy while it's around because, of course, as we well know, that this track is going to get a facelift here very soon to change it to a short track. But for these Indy cars, like you said, Taylor, a lot of changing, a lot of speed, a lot of dirty air, particularly it seems like with how tight some of these drivers are getting in practice that we've seen is going to be of the utmost importance.
It certainly is, and plus with the recent updates with the Dallara IR18s here, with the new tire compounds, they both have the blacks and the reds, just like what you would see in an actual IndyCar race. So it's going to be interesting to see who uses the correct tire compounds in their certain stint for 81 laps here tonight. We're going to keep track of that and seeing who is able to do that. One of the drivers I'll be keeping an eye on tonight is, of course, IndyCar driver Stephen Wilson. He's out here tonight looking to see if he can get his first win of Monday Night Racing. Of course, he had a great showing last week over at Watkins Glen with the Pro 2 truck, so he's going to be interested to see what he can do in his home car, I would say, as we get ready to look at the points.
We'll take a look at the point standings right now. Of course, you see Parker Kligerman at the top of the standings. That is contingent on whether he participates in enough races for it to count to the championship. He does have to show up tonight and for the rest of the regular season in order for that win to stand. Of course, you see Nick DeGroot on that list. He's won twice in IndyCar competition in Monday Night Racing, and he's looking to make it another win, not only in an IndyCar, but right here at Auto Club, as he did a season ago, like you mentioned, over Kyle Busch, who also won in the season opening race all the way back to the Talladega Super Speedway. So the points obviously becoming in play, but we'll take a look at the schedule here too as we continue to move along here in Season 2 of the Monday Night Racing League. Obviously approaching Auto Club tonight. We'll visit Mosport next week, the Porsche 911s. Obviously that'll be running right here on Podium eSports. You can check that out next Monday night, as well as Homestead when we finally move to the Cup Cars, a great multi-groove racetrack that we'll see right there before we hit the All-Star race, and then of course the playoffs to take place over the next handful of weeks. But before that, let's throw it trackside for the playing of our national anthem. Thank you for listening to our nation's colors. And also on a very important night tonight, Taylor Burris, the Stand Up to Cancer 160, something that I know has touched many lives, whether you know somebody who's had it or have had it yourself. Obviously, a good cause being represented tonight. On a lot of these race cars, a couple of different schemes, obviously, some of the graphics packages, which obviously our producers did a great job putting that together, but all kind of coming together for an important cause here tonight.
It certainly is, and for a great cause. I'm pretty sure everyone here, whether it be in this race, watching this broadcast, or in fact even calling tonight's broadcast, has someone who is dear to them who has either dealt with cancer or lost a loved one to cancer. So this one is for you guys out there, as well as to make sure we can be able to find a way to stand up to cancer and find a cure in the future for all of these ones.
Absolutely. We'll certainly look to do that. But without further ado, qualifying has completed here at Auto Club, and let's take a look at the starting grid tonight. First and on the pole, a dead tie. How about that for the front row? Matthew Stallknecht ends up taking down the pole, 32.841 on the scoring pylon, or 842 rather. As you see, James Davison, he's made 8 in NTT IndyCar starts in his career. He starts on the outside of row number 1. Gabriel Wood finishes up in 3rd. DJ Cummings will start in 4th. Nick DeGroot, a single-time winner this year, wasn't an IndyCar the way back at Twin Rig Motegi. He'll start inside of row number 3. Ryan Vargas, he'll roll off from 6th position. 7th to go to Ford Martin. 8th is Brandon Brown. David Schildhouse, a newcomer to the series this evening, will start in 9th. And Josh Balicki will start the top 10.
Nick Sanchez will be starting in the 11th position, followed by IndyCar driver Stephen Wilson. Rajat Garuth will be starting in 13th, followed by Covey Moore in the 14th position, with Seth Eggert starting 15th. Podium eSports' very own Gary Sexton is starting in the 16th position, followed by Devin Henry in 17th. NASCAR champion Kyle Busch will be starting from the 18th position, followed by Joshua Slate in 19th. Rounding out your top 20 is newly going to be NASCAR Cup Series rookie Anthony Alfredo. He'll be starting in 20th.
A very exciting deal for Front Row Motorsports as Anthony Alfredo will join their ranks in 2021 in the NASCAR Cup Series. Noah Lewis will start in 21st. 22nd goes to Max Kinnon. Starting in 23rd will be Michael Rossi. 24th goes to Greg Stumpf. 25th rolling is Jesse Vaughn. 26th to Stephen Ellis. And, you know, starting in 27th, I have to give a shout-out to Robbie Lyons, who was my broadcast partner for the Grid Ultimate Driver Challenge. And finally, I get to see him. He performed admirably in the booth. He finally gets to show his stuff for me here on the racetrack. He'll start in the 27th position. 28th goes to Drew Walker. 29th is Ron Capps. And Michael Massey rounds out the top 30.
31st will be Jason Keffer, followed by Paul Sutton in 32nd. Roger Diebold will be starting in the 33rd position, followed by NASCAR Cup Series spotter TJ Majors starting in 34th. 35th will go to Garrett Miller, while Will Rogers, of course, who is one of the main partners when it comes to Space Stations Gaming's new eNASCAR iRacing Coca-Cola Series team that joined the ranks this year, he's starting in 36th with no time here tonight, with Brett Baldeck riding shotgun here tonight in 37th.
And a lot going on there with Space Station Gaming, as well as a couple of new teams joining the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series ranks as we take a look at the preview here at the Auto Club Speedway. 2.0 miles, 14-degree bankings in both of these turns. And for these Indy cars in particular, the answer for a lot of these drivers is going to be where they can find clean air in these corners. You're going to see drivers going all the way to the bottom, all the way to the middle, all the way even sometimes to the very top of the racetrack, trying to preserve that right front tire. Obviously, these drivers all had the same setup, but they do have the benefit of using a weight jacker in those cars, and I think that's where you'll see a lot of IndyCar drivers like James Davison, who starts the outside of the front row, really be able to take advantage of that addition here with the latest updates in these Indy cars. So pace car will pull onto pit road, and an early jump for Matthew Stallknecht, who puts it on the pole, and we are green flag racing here for 81 laps in the Stand Up to Cancer 160.
Here they go down into turn 1 for the first time. Cars are approaching towards their top speed as they work their way through turns 1 and 2. Stallknecht holds a great line off corner exit, but here comes Davison and DJ Cummings. He was once a top 4 competitor in the Monday Night Racing Championship back in Season 1. He wants a piece of the action as they dive into turn 3.
And it looks like Stalknick going to get just a little bit clear of Davison. He gets a little bit tight off the corner, nearly into the wall. Davison has to collect it up. That's going to allow DJ Cummings, who gets a little bit of a run on the outside as we complete lap number 1. Give it to Stalknick at the front of the field. But James Davison, you see that draft down these straightaways, going to play a key factor here, especially before we get a little bit of age on these tires. Obviously, this draft is going to be really important for the next couple of laps or so while these tires are still not that worn.
It certainly is going to be the case right now. It's a 4-car breakaway for your top 4 as they're starting to pull away. Gabriel Wood currently holds that 4th position. As you look a little further back, here comes the Monday Night Racing Season 1 champion. And the last time we ran IndyCars, the previous winner, Nick DeGroot, has finally broken into the top 5 after making a pass to Ryan Vargas on the inside off of turn number 4. He's going to try to utilize that momentum to push him past by and see if he can catch up to the top 4 and challenge Matt Stallconnect for the race lead.
Well, I know Nick DeGroot's somebody I personally raced with quite a bit in these IndyCars in the iRacing service, and almost nobody more experienced perhaps in this field, at least on iRacing with these IndyCars, than DeGroot right there. As you see him work off the corner, you have that brand new halo, obviously, that's been reintroduced within the last year or so in iRacing, and especially down these straightaways, you want to try and get that car in front of you where you can't even see it, right at the center of that halo that protects the driver. But of course, like you mentioned, it moves by Ryan Vargas. As you see on screen, Raj Caruth making a move there on the back straightaway. This is all the way back in the field. They're still running hard, but this is a battle for 23rd as Caruth looks to the inside of Anthony Alfredo for 22nd.
Here he goes down to the inside of Anthony Alfredo as they work their way off corner exit, just barely getting close to each other, but give the position over to Rajah Caruth as we see Anthony Alfredo slotting in. Now here comes Joshua Slate. He'll cross over to the outside. Caruth throws the block to prevent him from making that momentum run, as right behind him, Michael Rossi in that number 17. As contact happens, big incident there in turn 1.
No trouble, and that was right around that battle that we were just talking about. Rajah Caruth looked like a little bit of a mistake from Rajah as he clipped the apron. And, you know, Taylor, when we were watching practice, that was probably the most common mistake that we saw from these drivers that are very experienced at this racetrack, whether it's in a stock car or any other type of vehicle. But with these Indy cars, you can barely get that left front on the apron. As we'll take a look at the replay, yes, that is just enough for Caruth to go up. And, of course, you see with this new damage model, you see the parts flying off those race cars, nowhere for Anthony Alfredo or Joshua Slate to go.
Certainly is the case right now, so a tough break for several drivers. Luckily, they have a faster pair to use. However, it's very early on in the going for these drivers to be using one of their 3 fastest.
And see there, it looks like Alfredo ended up getting tagged a little bit after the wreck happened. It was Michael Massey that looked like he stormed through there and may have made contact there with Anthony Alfredo a little bit after the wreck. We're right on board here with Michael Massey. You can see the wreck happening in front, all the smoke that you see. Massey getting slowed down, going into the bottom of the racetrack, and unfortunately Alfredo's car just parks it right in front of him. Nowhere for Massey to go, and they are going to have to use that fast repair that is oh so important. And we talk about fast repairs, Taylor. It looks like we have up to 3, I believe, if I can confirm that. Yes, indeed, 3 fast repairs are what these drivers will use. And perhaps in this race more than any, Taylor, because damage in these Indy cars, once you get hit once, your car is all but destroyed. So any incident you get in, you're likely going to be coming down and using those fast repairs.
Certainly is going to be the case, as pretty much drivers from the 28th position on back have decided to come down pit road for the most part. Everybody else has decided to stay out on the track to continue on their way since it's still a little early, but give a little time, we could be seeing drivers pit here pretty soon. We probably, if we see drivers wanting to play it out via the laps we have here, making laps on every 20 at the very least. So keep an eye on that, seeing what these drivers will strategize and do as they continue here tonight at Auto Club Speedway. But right now, everybody's going to be behind the pace car as Matt Stallconnect was able to hold up a hard charge from James Davison to maintain the race lead here on lap number 7.
It's going be an important task here for Stalknecht to try and hold that race lead and obviously get a good restart here in these Indy cars. Restarts it can be a little tricky, particularly on these older tires, of which there are no limits on the sets of tires that these drivers can utilize tonight. So they can come down pit road as much as they want to try and service their race cars whenever they so please. However, one interesting note, of course, these Indy cars can hold to up to about 22 gallons of fuel. We have less than, or 18.7 rather, we have less than that to 16.65 gallons. So the fuel tank in these Indy cars a little bit smaller than what you're accustomed to seeing. The fuel window looks to be anywhere from about the 33 to 35 lap range. And so these drivers, at least right now, Taylor, are looking at the possibility of 2 green flag stops, of course, should we be able to go that far into a run.
That's going to be the interesting thing. We talk about that every so often. Can we see green flag runs? And we usually talk about them, and then usually that doesn't happen. So we're going to hopefully see that here tonight, but we'll have to wait and see as the pace car lights are off. We're about to go back green flag racing here tonight at Auto Club on lap number 8.
Look right there as we continue to pace along. Looks like we're going to have double file restarts, a little bit different than what you would typically see in IndyCar. So it's going to allow these drivers to be a little bit more bunched up back in the pack, a little bit easier to get some draft and get some runs as we continue to move forward in this race. So as we pace around, going to take the green flag at lap number 9 of, again, 81 here tonight. Of course, worth mentioning, if we so need it, we have the possibility of 2 green-white-checkers that we may be using tonight again. But that's a long way off. We'll hope that we can end this other green. So just as they started this race, Stalknecht is in first, James Davison in second. DJ Cummings was able to make 1 spot further up to 4th. One driver that has made a couple of spots up, Nick Sanchez, up from 11th to the 7th position. The rest of the top 6 pretty much all where they started this race. So pace car will pull off and we will get set to restart this race. Stalknecht is on the loud pedal and James Davison immediately cuts down in front of Cummings, trying to use all that draft that he can, as now Davison with the run to the outside. He'll try to make a charge for the lead as they head into 1 and 2.
He has a little bit of help as now DJ Cummings try to go to the top, now slides it back down in the bottom to get in front of Nick DeGroot. DeGroot will now go.
Oh, big crash in the back. This is the big one. Is I'm counting 5, 10 or so cars. Will Rogers is involved in this one. Max Kinnon, Devin Henry has to take a tow. Kyle Busch also has to take a tow. Robbie Lyons looked like he may have sustained some damage in that one, as this was a massive wreck that started, I believe, with Kyle Busch, who was making a drive. And Taylor, I think it's the same mistake that we saw earlier. Raja Karut scraped the apron, and one of the best in the business, Kyle Busch, does the same.
Tough break indeed for Kyle Busch as we try. I believe we're going to be on board with him right now as we see just clips that white line right there. Not a very good thing for the car, and around he goes, collecting several other drivers here tonight. As he, a couple of cars hard into the outside tire, getting airborne, but is able to get back down on the ground. So a tough break for a lot of drivers, and unfortunately for some of them, using a fast repair this early on in the going.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the names, the amount of names that were involved in this accident. Stephen Ellis, TJ Majors, Roger Diebold, Drew Welker, Greg Stump, Devin Henry, Max Kinnon, Michael Rossi, Will Rogers, Robbie Lyons, Garrett Miller. Jesse Bond was able to squeak on by, but Kyle Busch, Jason Keffer, it would be easier to just look up front and see who was not involved in this wreck, because pretty much 15th on back looks to be in pretty rough shape. You see, once again, the ride on from Robbie Lyons. He also scrapes the apron, and again, just the smallest amount of damage is enough to do you in here with this realistic damage model that iRacing has implemented here in these Indy cars. So a lot of these drivers, I think, fast repairs and the amount that they have left is definitely going to come into play here, Taylor.
It certainly is, and we've already have one victim who's going to call it a night here. TJ Majors in the number 2 has taken it behind the wall. His night is done here at Monday Night Racing and Auto Club. So a tough break for him as he was looking to try if he can get a good run here tonight, but unfortunately that will come to a close, and it's safe to say some other drivers may be facing that same fate here momentarily.
On the one thing here, as we continue to look at the replay, when you talk about these fast repairs that these drivers are going to have to use, you see the 30 car barrels in there and get some heavy right front damage. The one thing that is very important here with these Indy cars is that you can get back to pit road despite the damage that you may have. So you see the 46 right there loses a little bit of damage, but he's going to be able to get to pit road, get that fast repair, and stay on the lead lap. There are plenty of drivers here right now that had to use a tow to get back to pit road. Kyle Busch, Greg Stump, Max Kinnon, amongst a couple of the names that are having to get towed back to pit road right now. So while they're waiting for the virtual tow truck to take them around and eventually get their cars fixed, they are going one lap down, perhaps two, if they don't get back into pit road on time. So this is where this race can kind of be contested, Taylor, is even if you get involved in an accident, that's one thing, but having to take this long tow back to pit road, that could be the real danger for a lot of these drivers that may cost them a lap or two.
It certainly can be the case here tonight. Usually these tows last anywhere between 2 minutes and 45 seconds or 2.5 minutes, depending on the track we're at. So a big detrimental situation for some of these drivers. Thankfully, though, if they do have another caution, if they're not involved, they can use the wave around system in order to get back one of their laps or back on the lead lap. So we'll have to see what will happen as now the pace car lights are off. We are about to go back green flag racing here.
About to go back to green as we get the 1 to go signal, and we would want to just take a moment to remind you that Tufco Flooring is an industrial flooring company specializing in custom floors and drains. Tufco doesn't believe in the one-size-fits-all approach, and neither should you. Tufco listens to your needs and requirements and develops custom solutions for every single client. For more information, visit their website at tufcoflooring.com. We appreciate their support of the Monday Night Racing League. So once again, we're going to go double file on this restart. Kyle Busch was just waved around. The pace cars were about to take the green flag. I believe Devin Henry was as well. Is worth mentioning that there will be a couple of wave rounds issued per caution as some of those drivers that we were talking about that have gone multiple laps down because of that tow. They'll try to get back onto the lead lap if they can. You see Kyle Busch zooming by on the top. Will we see a delayed green this time? I don't believe so. Pace car going to pull onto pit road, and immediately Matthew Stalknecht is not wasting any time. He gets right after it. We're green flag once again from Auto Club as they go single file for the first 4 positions behind him.
Gets right on the hammer and tries to pull a little bit of a gap over James Davison and DJ Cummings, but here they come through turns 1 and 2. Nick DeGroot with a head of steam now as they come out of turn 2 down the back straightaway. James Davison to the outside of Matt Stalknecht as we go 2 by 2, 2 rows deep as they dive into turn 3 and 4. We're almost going to see 4 wide action, but backs off just a little bit. Stalknecht getting a little tight off corner exit. Here comes DJ Cummings to the inside.
A big lift there for James Davison, who had to avoid the crisis that was coming right there. But how about DJ Cummings very quickly, 4th up to the top spot, and in that clean air, he will take the race lead as Davison falls under siege behind them. And I think, Taylor, this is not what this field wanted to see. Nick DeGroot already up to 2nd.
He certainly is right now as he's trying to get around Matthew Stalknecht as they go down the back straightaway. We will be seeing some of these drivers weaving just a little bit down the back straightaway, trying to break the tow and the drought from their competitors right now. But here comes Nick DeGroot to the inside. He tried to get it work, but as we see, DJ Cummings holds the line. But now we're going to go 3 wide now down into turn 1 for the race lead. Stalknecht to the top side, Cummings in the middle, and DeGroot on the inside lane. He will try to pull the slide job to take away the race lead.
And Nick DeGroot in that yellow livery able to utilize the bottom line to go to the top spot. He's going to get the draft to the driver down low. Of course, that is a similar livery with Stalknecht and DJ Cummings, who now feels a little bit of that dirty air through 3 and 4. But Nick DeGroot up front early, and they are racing heavy here as they went 3 wide into 1 that last time. DeGroot trying to work the draft and keep that race lead.
He's certainly trying everything that he can, but DJ Cummings as well as James Davison going to put the pressure on Nick DeGroot as they come down the back straightaway. DeGroot has about a car length advantage over DJ Cummings and James Davison as they go down the back straightaway, heading into turn 3. Cummings to the outside. Will he try and challenge for the race lead? He is almost right there to that pod of the right side pond of Nick DeGroot, but can't quite make the pass work. He will dive to the inside and follow in line with Nick DeGroot down the start-finish line.
Well, he'll try to use that draft to work on Bime as they work back into 1 and 2. Also, James Davison, who was under siege just a couple of laps ago, as he had to lift big time off the corner. He's going to surrender the 3rd position there to Matthew Stalknick, who's trying to get back to the race lead. But once again, this is what Cummings has really been trying to do. Use that high line to work his way around Nick DeGroot. It has not paid off thus far. DeGroot just far too strong. That car is cutting beautifully through the bottom side of the racetrack.
Talk about a big mover right now. The 25 of Stephen Wilson. He started outside the top 15, and he is now running in the 6th position. So the IndyCar veteran, knowing a thing or two of how to get around here, as he's trying to catch up to his IndyCar teammate, James Davison, who's out there running in 4th position. Can he maybe challenge up there for the race lead as the yellow comes out?
Big wreck out of 2 once again, and another large accident. I think this is just going to be the theme of the night, Taylor, that when we have a wreck, it is likely going to collect several cars, and I believe where it was around this time, they were battling back for about the 14th position as Seth Egbert and it looks like Noah Lewis and the GoDaddy machine get together off of turn 2, and it looks like a couple other cars get collected after their initial contact. We'll take a look at the replay right here. One car gets tight, and unfortunately, Lewis nowhere to go. The wall will destroy that car to where he's just completely out of control, and a couple more will barrel on in there and collect some damage. Roger Diebold, he collects some of that. It looks like Michael Massey was just able to escape, but a couple more cars pile into that accident. Brett Baldeck, he was involved. Jesse Vaughn, a couple cars here, again, about 15th on back that end up getting collected in that one. Not as large as that second wreck that we just had, but this has been where it has been the worst. Off the exit of turn 2 is where we've seen every single caution flag tonight.
Well, now we are approaching close to 20 laps run on this stint of tires for the drivers, and it looks like everybody's thinking what I was about to think. Will we see pit stops? The answer is yes. The leader will lead them down pit road to get 4 tires and fuel needed for their race cars, and we are going to see what will happen, who will win the race off pit road.
We'll see who's able to get out first as they work their way down pit road here slowly. Again, with the many different vehicles we often see for Monday Night Racing, this is going to be probably the fastest pit stops that we will encounter. About 7 to 8 seconds or so is all you'll see these Indy cars as they pull on, immediately can change 4 tires, and will get off in a jiffy. About 7 to 8 seconds is about what we'll see here. As one spinner you can see doing burnouts there through the middle of pit road, trying to get an eye on who that was, as they obviously ran into some issues getting into their stall. I believe that was, if I can see, Josh Balicki, who had some issues entering his pit stall.
Tough break for Joshua Balicki as he was trying to get down pit road, and we'll have to see if he's able to have any damage repaired on his Indy car and see if he's able to get back out on the track. But a tough break for him as he was running inside the top 15 before that incident.
These cars can be pretty difficult to handle in these lower gears on the flat surfaces in these Indy cars, and Balicki obviously struggling right there to get into his pit stall. He has to use a fast repair on pit road, not even being involved in an accident. So unfortunate there for Balicki. That's really kind of a free mulligan that he just gave away right there. But off of pit road first is Nick DeGroot, but Robbie Lyons at the moment is being shown as the race leader as we get another look here at exactly what happened to Josh Balicki.
As we ride on board with him, you'll see the incident with Joshua Balicki. I think he was trying to get into his pit box and just overshoots it with the braking, and around he'll go. As he's approaching it right now, we should see the incident. Right, he just locks it up as he saw a couple of other cars and just bangs it into the outside pit wall. A tough break for him, and then tries to loop it around, and part of his fender tore off as well from some other cars exiting pit road.
You know, it's often been said that you talk about a lot of drivers who come on over to the dirt racing side of iRacing. They talk about, obviously, as it is in real life, that those cars are a monster to handle when they're going slow. I think the Indy cars, to some degree, can be equal there, and perhaps that was a pit road speed limiter issue right there as well. You got to remember, a lot of these guys aren't too experienced at driving this style of a car, and perhaps not using using the pit road speed limiter or turning it off. Again, a number of things could have happened right there. I won't speculate, but unfortunately for Bilicki, it's going to cost him a little bit of damage, some track position, and he's going to have to restart at the back of the field. A majority of the drivers that we were talking about taking that tow have gotten back onto the lead lap. Right now, Seth Eggert is the lone driver who continues to sit on pit road, who's having to take a tow, but otherwise the rest of the field has worked their way back onto the lead lap. So once again, we'll restart. We have old tires up front in the form of my fellow broadcast partner in the Grid Ultimate Driver Challenge booth, Robbie Lyons, who will get us started with Nick DeGroot, one of the best in the business and a former winner here in these cars at Auto
trouble with
about
the big checkup indeed for some drivers as they saw that incident, and drivers could not get on the binders quick enough on that incident.
Oh boy, we'll see exactly what happened here. I think it was the 12 machine of Brandon Brown. Kyle Busch went flipping a lot. Let's just take a look at here exactly what happened to Kyle Busch, because all of a sudden we were moving along just fine, and then the field just ripped apart in front of our eyes. We'll ride along with Kyle Busch, and that's exactly what happened. One moment everything's going great, the next that's a tough onboard shot there from Kyle Busch, and you can see right there about 10 or so cars, if not more, involved in an incident that took place at under 100 miles an hour. I think it was Brandon Brown around where that entire wreck started as he was trying to get a run on the car in front of him. I believe that's Gary Setno's David Schildhouse. Similar liveries for those two drivers, but the number 12 tried to get a little bit of a run, checked up, and unfortunately when he slid sideways, and you see it right there on your screen, the rest of the field piles in.
One of the things about with these Indy cars is some drivers will try and start on a little bit of a higher gear. Some drivers will utilize the first gear in order to get the better jump, but some drivers might go to second or third gear because of the stability of these restarts. So a detrimental situation for some drivers when it comes to that. They just was not able to get on the throttle quick enough.
And some drivers that sustained damage in that one: Gary Sexton, Nick Sanchez, Ron Capps was spun around, Michael Massey, Noah Lewis once again involved, Raja Caruth, Michael Rossi, Josh Bilicki, who we just talked about spinning on pit road, he was also involved in that one. Devin Henry, Kyle Busch, Brandon Brown, Joshua Slate. Every wreck tonight, it seems, Taylor, has just been astronomical, and that may be just what we'll have to get used to here as we are just past the quarter-way mark in this race. So working another caution flag here at Season 2 of the Monday Night Racing League from the Auto Club Speedway, and we'll go side by side so you won't miss a minute of it. We'll be right back.
We are an industrial flooring company specializing in custom floors and drains. We don't believe in the one-size-fits-all approach to flooring, and neither should you. When you choose Tufco, we consult with you about your needs, industry requirements, and factor in numerous variables. After assessing your facility, we engineer your floor and drains, then install everything ourselves. That's the Tufco way.
Visit our website at tufcoflooring.com.
Back with you here for live coverage on Podium eSports of the Monday Night Racing League. Blake McCandless, Taylor Burris, and Ryan Bauer down in the virtual production trailer, as well as Zach Johnson doing social media for us tonight. We want to take a moment to talk about Stand Up to Cancer, which works relentlessly to offer the newest, most effective, and most promising cancer treatments to patients quickly by bringing together the best minds to collaborate, innovate, and share cancer research. Stand Up to Cancer's mission is to raise funds to accelerate the pace of groundbreaking translational research that can get new therapies to patients quickly and save lives now. For more information, visit their website at standuptocancer.org. And Taylor, we were talking about this at the top of the show. I don't think there's any person out there, even myself included. I know I lost my grandmother a couple years ago to cancer, and it's good to see these drivers come together for a cause like this, and that sim racing can be a kind of a common ground where we all come together and try to do something for the greater good.
It certainly is. I mean, even though the sim racing community is very vast of different people from all over the place, when it comes to stuff like this, especially for cancer, a lot of people will come together to try either put on a good show or at least support the situation that we're having to deal with, where each and every one of us have someone close to us that has dealt with this situation. So it's a great opportunity for us to come out here and spread a little bit more awareness of any form of cancer.
It certainly is, and glad to see all these drivers come together for that cause. But as we work down the back straightaway, we'll take the 1 to go signal that last time by, and once again we will try this time to get things going in the right direction. It was last time in the middle of the pack. It seems like things kind of fell apart there. We'll try to see if we can get these guys going green this time and see if we can get that green flag run that has so eluded us tonight up to this point. So as we did last time, Robbie Lyons, Nick DeGroot will once again complete our first row. Again, Robbie Lyons in that green and red race car, he is on old tires. He did not come down and pit with these drivers the last time they came down pit road. He pit about a caution sooner. So we'll see if Lyons is able to keep up, but DeGroot, a fantastic restart along with them as they take the green flag. James Davison also all over the back bumper. He's going to split it 3. They're going to go 4 wide as they work into turn 1.
Ooh, big trouble for Matt Stallconnect. He'll go through the field and almost collect several. Hey, back there he goes, collecting several drivers. I have no clue what happened to Matt Stallconnect in that incident, but his car was down below the apron and then just washes back up the track.
And that's exactly what we saw. Stallconnect went in to go 4 wide, and it looked like he either hit something or just somehow lost control of the car as he goes down into the grass, and then obviously he's shooting across the track. There's nowhere for him to go, and unfortunately he's going to take a couple of cars with him.
It looking at the timing and scoring right now, he got several different drivers. One of them, by the looks of it, has to be Will Rogers, along with, let's see, I'm looking at Roger Diebold, has also got involved with the incident. Looking at a couple of more cars who got involved. Stephen Ellis as well was involved in the incident. Drew Welker, Max Kennan. Tough break for several of these drivers here tonight.
Yeah, a lot of trouble here as we have had an issue just getting everything going straight right there. But it looked, I mean, that almost looks like a shifting issue or some type of, I don't know, because Matthew just obviously was running up front here very fast. That was just an uncharacteristic venture to the left very early of that. He did his best to try and slow down before he came back up onto the racing surface. But that is just a really strange, that looks like almost a mechanical issue or something with the steering wheel, because I doubt that Stallconnect, who has showcased his ability up here tonight, would have just kind of turned in that early. But nevertheless, it definitely destroys a couple of cars here. Roger Diebold, who was just involved in our last wreck, Will Rogers was as well, and of course behind them in the ensuing reaction you had Drew Walker, Ron Capps, Paul Sutton, Garrett Miller, Brandon Brown hardened in the wall, Seth Eggert, Joshua Slate, just a couple of names that were also wrapped up in this wreck. As we were just about, I was about to get into that high pitch that I guess our friend Jacob Seelman would talk about, because they were 4 wide for the race lead and challenging, but just not able to sort it out behind them.
Certainly they were not able to, and with that situation happening, that will now move James Davison up into the lead right now, followed by Nick DeGroot and Stephen Wilson. Now your top 3, as Robbie Lyons will drop back to the 4th position after we saw that 4 wide attempt going into turn 1. But for Matt Stallconnect, it's probably safe to say that maybe his wheel might have disconnected.
Perhaps that is the case. We will see. Right now he is on pit road, at least getting service to his race car, so I'm not exactly sure. But once again, we will try to get things figured out here as we work under the caution flag, I believe, for the 5th time tonight in the Stand Up to Cancer 160. We'll once again bring it to you side by side as we pace around here, try to get things going.
For years, people had to get professional tools off of a truck.
That's me.
But we know that tool trucks only come around maybe once a week.
You want to go check out what's in the van?
Now Dave knows that his NAPA Auto Parts store delivers parts multiple times a day to his shop. and they carry the professional line of Carlyle tools. Carlyle offers quality tools with a lifetime warranty on its hand tools and a significant savings over mobile tool trucks. And you can forget about the weekly payments and expensive finance charges.
Just pay me, every week for the rest of your life.
Carlyle Tools, as close as your local NAPA auto parts store.
Back with you here for Podium eSports coverage of the Monday Night Racing League. Blake McCandless, Taylor Burris in the broadcast booth, along with Ryan Bauer down in the virtual production trailer. And we're trying to sort things out, but it looks like up front, a couple of drivers are sitting pretty and have been able to avoid most of the carnage that we've seen a lot of drivers in the back of the field go through. It's really just the top 10 that have been pacing around and getting to avoid all that they've seen happening in their rearview mirrors. James Davison up in the top spot. Nick DeGroot, Stephen Wilson, Robbie Lyons, DJ Cummings, Ryan Vargas, Ford Martin, Gabriel Wood, Kobe Moore, and then again another driver who is a late entry here, brand new to the Monday Night Racing League. David Schildhouse runs in the 10th position.
Yeah, great to see David up here running tonight in the Monday Night Racing. We had a little bit of an incident early on with a previous caution before we had this one, but he's still out there on the race circuit, going to continue on his way. So look forward to seeing what he can do running in 10th position when we get ready to go back green flag racing momentarily.
So pit car will pull onto pit road, and as we've seen for a majority of the night, the leader is not wasting any time in having control of these restarts as James Davison immediately hits the throttle to try and get away from a snarling pack behind him that includes Stephen Wilson. So two IndyCar drivers, shocker here, Taylor, are at the front of the field.
It's IndyCar drivers going head-to-head as you see James Davison and Stephen Wilson down to the bottom of the racetrack. Now Wilson will go up to the top side of the racetrack, running that middle groove, trying to see if he can get a run off corner exit. But Nick DeGroot will look to the inside and try to take second place away. Side-by-side battle for second. Meanwhile, the battle for fourth position rages on as Ryan Vargas holds up a hard-charging DJ Cummings and Robbie Lyons as they enter turn one.
On the battling they're doing up here, and of course Davison giving draft to both Wilson and DeGroot. There's DeGroot gets a little tight out of two. That's going to allow Vargas to have a run. Vargas goes to the bottom of the racetrack, but he does not have the draft that Nick DeGroot has, so DeGroot the advantage going into three. He'll give Vargas some dirty air on the bottom, and again that's going to make it side by side for fourth between Vargas and DJ Cummings.
That's now going to allow James Davison and Stephen Wilson to break away from the rest of the pack right now as they continue to work together to get away from Nick DeGroot and DJ Cummings right now as DJ Cummings leads that second larger pack right now. That's got Ryan Vargas, Kobe Moore, Robbie Lyon, Ford Martin, and David Schildhouse involved in this, including Gabriel Wood as well. So about 5 or 6 cars under a blanket right here as they battle for the fifth position. Diving into turn 3 and 4, Vargas holding strong the inside lane, trying to stay off that white line. We saw that all night here. That causes big problems here at Auto Club.
It certainly does. It can snap around you in an instant. We've seen it from Raja Karuth. We've seen it from even Kyle Busch already in this race. As Ford Martin, he takes a look to the inside. Relatively clean air on his nose as Vargas is up the racetrack a little bit. So Ford Martin trying to make his way by Kobe Moore right there. He's trying to look for the 6th spot.
He's looking to the inside. He will clear Kobe Moore down into turn 3 and 4. Slide up a little bit.
Oh, big trouble on the back straightaway. Paul Sutton is up and flipping. However, they are on the apron, but 3 cars are pretty much stopped here. Noah Lewis, Paul Sutton, I think Nick Sanchez may have been involved in this one. And finally, we do see the caution flag displayed as, oh man, a huge wreck there for Paul Sutton, who looked like he made contact there and just went directly into the outside wall. And I believe this was in reaction to Nick Sanchez and some contact that was between he and Seth Eggert. This was directly in front of the Rowdy Energy machine of Kyle Busch, but they're able to scurry away, and a little delayed on the caution flag, but it eventually comes out once I think race control pretty much knew that most of these cars were in no condition to try and drive back to pit road.
Yeah, let's go on board with Kyle Busch right now to see the incident. There it is right there, just barely skirts on by off of turn 2 before the ensuing incident happens. So a tough, easy break right there for Kyle Busch, who needed that, as a couple of cars are trying to come through, avoid some of the debris that we have now with these Dallara IR18s with the new damage model here on the iRacing service, where, of course, parts and pieces will be falling off, which we've seen all night here at Auto Club.
Really, that was two separate incidents right there. You saw the initial one right in front of Kyle Busch. It was Nick Sanchez who got a little tight, pushed up the racetrack into Seth Eggert that brought some contact there. And then just a couple of moments later, you had that second incident that you saw initially on your screen. I believe it was somewhat in reaction to what they saw in front of them, Paul Sutton. And that's exactly right. Noah Lewis slowing down, checking up for that incident. And Paul Sutton, unfortunately, just could not get his IndyCar slowed down in time before he got barreling into that. So those were kind of two separate accidents that happened before the caution flag was thrown as that one was displayed. Another thing to note, David Schildhaus had a little bit of an issue as he has gotten back into the server with the connection issue, but we'll wait a moment to talk about that. How about Anthony Alfredo, as you see on your screen right there? Very exciting news, Taylor. Somebody who's worked up there with us and is a nice young man. Very thrilled to see the news that he announced early last week that he would be moving to full-time Cup Series competition in 2021 with Front Row Motorsports.
Certainly is going to be exciting for Anthony Alfredo to come and join the Cup Series with Front Row Motorsports. Going to be interesting to see what he can do running in the Cup Series, as he's going to be one of the new rookies joining the ranks here. And of course, exciting as we get ready ever so closer to the actual Speed Weeks, but we also have another Speed Weeks coming up soon.
We certainly do, and we want to take a moment to remind you of that because it is coming up very soon. The Podium 500, the largest super speedway special event in iRacing, returns February 7th, 2021. Over 200 drivers will compete on the high banks of Daytona International Speedway to claim a spot amongst the 43 that start in Sunday's 500-mile, 200-lap, and $1,000 to win feature event. All Podium 500 events will be broadcast live on twitch.tv/Podium Esports, and you can register right now for just $10 at podiumesports.com/Podium-500. Get on that today because that is going to be a wild weekend of action, as it always has been. I believe it was Daniel Eberhardt who took home the win in last season's Podium 500, and it was certainly a sight to see. So make sure you sign up for that because a lot of special events have graced iRacing service, Taylor, but for many years the Podium 500 has been amongst the best of them.
It certainly is going to be exciting to see this event happening here, and of course the home track of a personal favorite of mine, Daytona International Speedway, but also other events are going to be happening. Of course, you have the qualifiers for the Front Row, heat races happening, and of course the duels and several other races happening throughout the week. So it's going to be exciting, a lot of fun, and of course a lot of big prizes on the line for the winner, as well as several other positions in this Podium 500 happening in a few weeks' time.
And it's certainly going to be a lot to see. However, we have a lot to look forward to in this race that we're seeing right now tonight. A lot of chaos, it looks like, for most of these drivers that are trying to work their way up into the top 10. Up front, it's been IndyCar veterans, either in the NTT IndyCar Series or on the iRacing service, that have dominated this event. James Davison, Stefan Wilson, Nick DeGroot are up front right now. And, you know, I turn it to you, Taylor. Can we see what we've seen in the past where some of these stock car drivers, both in real life and in iRacing, have challenged these guys? Because right now the IndyCar drivers seem to be flexing their muscles right now.
They certainly are. I think we could see some of the NASCAR guys, once if they're able to get away from all the incidences that have happened in the back of the pack and get up towards the front, drivers such as Anthony Alfredo and Kyle Busch, they could go up there and challenge for this race win. Remember, the last time we were here at Auto Club, it was a battle between Nick DeGroot and Kyle Busch, two of the strongest competitors this season so far, and they are definitely going to go out there and have something to show for. And if we continue on here, if we're able to get a bit of a longer run, it's going to be exciting.
It certainly is as the pace car pulls onto pit road. We are just a couple laps short of approaching the halfway marker in this race. And as we get going, once again, James Davison, Stephen Wilson, your top two pulling away. Nick DeGroot is not far behind. DJ Cummings and Ryan Vargas all work single file, and that is your top five.
Here they come off of turn number 2 right now. Of course, James Davison holding strong in his position with the lead as they work their way down the back straightaway, weaving down to try to keep Stephen Wilson, Nick DeGroot behind him. Meanwhile, battle for second is going to almost be 3 wide. DeGroot, though, gets a little bit tight. That's going to give the position over to DJ Cummings for third place.
Well, and Davison going to have to go low to try and break the draft. Here comes a huge run from Cummings as Davison goes low to block that massive run that Cummings had. And unfortunately for Cummings, right in the dirty air, you see he's going to have to drop back and allow Davison to have that run as Stephen Wilson, once again, he pulls down to the bottom. You could see the snake going on in that beautiful shot down the back straightaway. Wilson, once again, peeking his nose to the outside in the clean air.
He's going to try to keep his nose out in the clean air to a 4 to see if he can get a run off a corner exit. Not going to happen this time. Here comes Nick DeGroot with a head of steam in that third place. He's going to duck to the outside as we're going to possibly see 3 wide for the race lead. Here comes Stephen Wilson to the outside through turns 1 and 2.
And Wilson trying to show if the high line can work. We haven't seen it a lot, but it does not work that time. However, draft down the back straightaway. He has a run. He may have some drafting help from Nick DeGroot, who's directly behind this battle. DeGroot goes to the bottom. Wilson once again trying to make that second lane work, but Davison going to hold strong out front. Now here comes DeGroot to the bottom side looking for second.
He's going to try his best to make it work, but he's going to get held up now by James Davison as he gets blocked up. He goes to the top side to follow Stephen Wilson. How about Ryan Vargas in the number 6? He was able to break away from Kobe Moore and DJ Cummings, and now he's going to get into the mix of this battle for the race lead. Down the back straightaway, lined up single file, trying to form the snake to keep going. Here comes Stephen Wilson to the outside in turn 3.
Wilson to the outside, DeGroot to the bottom, and oh, don't forget about a couple of drivers that are starting to creep up on the battle for the race lead. Ryan Vargas is one of them, but here comes DeGroot. He's going to have the draft from Davison. Does DeGroot shoot the middle? It looks like he's going to try to do it, but thinks better of it, backs out at just the last second. Davison has that clean air. He's going to show the dirty air to DeGroot. You see him check up right there, and I wouldn't be surprised if we're going to see Davison, like he has been all race long, he'll give some draft high, he'll give some draft low. Right now, Davison showing why he's a real-life IndyCar driver. He has been perfectly managing that battle up front.
He certainly is, but Stephen Wilson gets a little bit tight off corner exit. That's now going to allow Nick DeGroot to move into second. Pulls the slide job in front of Stephen Wilson, move him up to second. Here comes Ryan Vargas now with a head of steam to the outside of Wilson as they go into turn 1. He's going to try and make it work. Will he have the momentum? The answer will be yes. Stephen Wilson having a little bit of difficulties right now as he slots back into 4th.
And actually a development here, a self-spin on the back straightaway. Kyle Busch once again clipped the apron in turn 2. He has gotten away, and we stay under the green flag for the moment, but another tough break for the driver of the 51. Top 2 able to break away. As you see Kyle Busch well back in the 29th position now as this battle for third is starting to brew. Ryan Vargas ahead of Stephen Wilson. He'll take the high side, get a little bit of that clean air on his nose.
He's going to try to pull the slide job in front of Ryan Vargas down the back straightaway. Vargas all the way to the second white line to try to see if he can slingshot around Wilson. Can't quite make it work this time. We'll see what will happen as they go to turn 3 and 4. Wilson holds on over Vargas. Here comes Kobe Moore, Ford Martin, and DJ Cummings.
And it is worth noting that you cannot go below the apron in these Indy cars on an oval to advance your position. So Ryan Vargas intentionally kind of checked up there to not pass Stephen Wilson. That would have been an illegal pass if he had completed it. But right now, your top 2 have made about 0.7 of a second behind them as DeGroot once again looking for the clean air out front as he goes toe-to-toe with James Davison for the race lead.
Nose to nose, one of the best drivers in all of iRacing IndyCars, competing with one of the top premier drivers coming up through the ranks in IndyCar right now, going nose to tail as they go down the front straightaway, heading into turn number 1 right now. Davison to the inside, DeGroot holding the outside groove as Stephen Wilson, Ryan Vargas are also battling for that third step on the podium.
And It's hard to turn our attention away as DeGroot once again gets a run on Davison for the race lead. They're nearly dead even, and perhaps even DeGroot out by just a nose as they entered 3 and 4. But right now, Taylor, it just appears there's too much grip there on the bottom for James Davison. With all that clean air he has, I don't know if there's a lot of hope other than DeGroot to kind of do what he's doing now. Use that draft down the straightaway, go high to get the clean air in the corner. But otherwise, I'm not sure if there's much DeGroot can do unless Davison were to run his tires out in the next couple of laps.
Well, right now, they have been out on these tires for about 26 laps. Yes, a majority of them have been under caution, but still, even at these high speeds, these tires are being pushed to the absolute limit right now as we see Nick DeGroot work the outside, trying to see if he can get a run over to James Davison down the front straightaway. He can't quite get to it. He's actually at the driver's rear wheel right now, but can't complete the pass. He'll have to slide back in behind Davison as Stephen Wilson, Ryan Vargas slowly but surely creeping back into the top 2.
One of the best battles on the racetrack right now taking place around that 10th and 11th position. Raja Caruth and Anthony Alfredo have been going at it for the last handful of laps as you see them work down the back straightaway. For Alfredo, looked to go low for just a moment, but Caruth quickly jumps down to the bottom to take away that clean air from the Dude Wipes machine. And now Alfredo trying to veer on back as they still battle up front. But right now, Alfredo trying to crack the top 10.
He's certainly going to try that indeed as he'll take a peek to the inside of Raja Caruth, but can't quite make it work. Caruth will throw the block as we go back up to the race lead. Davison, DeGroot back at it again. DeGroot will go to the top side. Davison tries to push him up to try to see if he can hold him up just a little bit through turns 3 and 4. He will hold on this time around as Stephen Wilson will slide back up into 3rd.
Wilson starting to creep back towards this battle for the lead. They had about 7 or 8/10 of a second. Now it is down to just 3 for those back 2 who were battling. However, they're going to get a little bit of dirty air as they now go side by side, both for 1st and 2nd, and also for 3rd and 4th. Wilson holding strong there in 3rd, but now they barrel off single file. Davison goes all the way to the apron to block, and then DeGroot, I think, again, just content to ride outside and keep the clean air on his nose.
He certainly is showing some contentment with holding on to that outside lane as they go down the front straightaway here. A good run for Nick DeGroot. He's going to get right on the back bumper, then slide out to the outside lane and see if he can make a slingshot on the outside through turn 1.
Seeing if he can get it done, but perhaps not this time. But it is now a 4-car battle for the race lead. Wilson has caught right up to this pack, and so has the TikTok driver in Ryan Vargas. Is now, where is Wilson going to go as he has quite a run on these drivers? Vargas going to go all the way to the 4th lane trying to get that clean air. He has to check up, but now make it a 4-car battle for the lead. And oh, by the way, Covey Moore just out of the draft, but trying to keep up with these top 4.
He might have a little help from DJ Cumming and Ford Martin right now. They're separated by about 3 car lengths from each other. They can possibly work together to catch back up to the top 4 and make it a 7-car battle for the race lead here, but it's going to take a little bit of work and patience to catch back up.
Is going to take a little bit, and also just trying to catch those drivers at the right time as Vargas starting to catch these drivers, and this is really how it's going to go. Davison is not going to give up the bottom of the racetrack at any point. We've just seen how good he can be through the corners, but I think also DeGroot not necessarily pushing the issue. You see about a full lane of room between he and James Davison. I don't imagine that we go much longer in this race that is going to be the case. I think you're going to see DeGroot taking much more racetrack away to try to battle Davison right now. But the other thing we have to take into a mind here, Taylor, is the potential for green flag pit stops is on the horizon. Again, about 34, 35 laps is about the pit window that we'll see most of these drivers begin a green flag pit cycle, and perhaps that is in the back of these drivers' minds as well.
It certainly is, as we are now under 30 laps to go here. So right now would be the opportune time. If they were to pit under green here, they would be good to go to the very end right now as we keep an eye on the battle for the race lead. Davison holding the inside. Stephen Wilson going to the inside. Nick DeGroot preferring the clean air, running that middle groove right now as they come off corner exit. He'll slide back in behind James Davison. Now peek to the outside, see if he can get a slingshot around, but to still no avail right now. He does not have enough momentum as here comes Stephen Wilson right behind, trying to see if he can fill the gap between him and James Davison to prevent Nick DeGroot stay on that outside lane.
One spinner about a lap and a half ago, it was Paul Sutton, but he safely makes it back to pit road, so we'll stay under the green flag. Also, for these race leaders, Brandon Brown just a little bit ahead, so lap traffic perhaps going to start coming into play here in just a couple of moments. But once again, Nick DeGroot poking his nose to the outside. Stephen Wilson going to use the draft to work up on these drivers, as a couple of drivers, it seems, are starting to work their way off pit road. We saw Drew Walker, as these leaders paced on by, just make his way off of pit road. But again, that is not too far out of the question, as Vargas has a huge run here on Stephen Wilson.
Right now, these drivers have ran about 35 laps on their stint right now currently, as far as those who are inside the top 8. Robbie Lyons, of course, has been on those stints for about the 45 laps, so a long run for him, of course, with those pit stops right now. That kind of helps him out, but it looks like he's coming down pit road, so he's going to be one of the first drivers inside the top 10 to blink to come down pit road. So we should be seeing our race leaders making their way down pit road here in the next 3 or 4 laps.
And that's part of it. As we've had these trips to pit road and these cautions, you've seen a fair amount of drivers stay out. Of course, most of these drivers that had the track position up front have stayed out for a pretty good portion of this race. But we've had drivers take fast repairs and come down and top off. So you're going to see a lot of different green flag pit strategies come into play here, I think, in the next 10 laps or so, and perhaps why DeGroot and Davison are playing nice up front here, as DeGroot nearly got into the side of the driver of the 33 as they work through traffic. As you're going to see, Brandon Brown and Kyle Busch are directly in front of the race leaders, and now Davison, not only does he have to worry about dirty air in the corners, he has to worry about those drivers up front, because he can get a draft off of them as well. So Davison, this lap traffic going to come into play.
It certainly is going to come into play, but one thing to consider about the fuel strategy as well. Under caution, of course, with these Indy cars, they have certain fuel settings that they can use. So there's a fuel setting, in fact, for these Dallara Indy cars that they can set that's for under yellow flag conditions. There's even settings for these Indy cars where they can do it for green flag conditions to save a little bit of fuel for longer green flag runs. And that could be a case for some of these drivers, such as Kobe Moore, DJ Cummings, Gabriel Wood, and Ford Martin right now, who could be trying to see if they can save a little extra fuel to see if they can stay out on the track a little bit longer compared to their competitors. But of course, fresh tires will be the king here, and that will also be a factor as well.
It certainly will, and I know from a lot of the racing I've done here, Taylor, in these Indy cars and iRacing, it seems as though the draft is king when it comes to saving fuel. Obviously, you can mess around with the fuel settings, and it will make a difference on how long you can go, but at least from my experience, I've found you don't want that to cost you speed down the straightaways if you're losing the draft. So the draft, I think, is going to be the best thing, as James Davison and Stephen Wilson are going to make their way onto pit road. And how about Stephen Wilson? It looks like he will pass Davison as he entered pit road, so a marvelous entry there in lap for Stephen Wilson.
Kobe Moore and Gabriel Wood as well will join the ranks of these drivers down pit road, as Nick DeGroot, Ryan Vargas, DJ Cummings, Ford Martin, and Anthony Alfredo are your top 5. Stay out this time around. Will they come down and respond to those drivers who have come down pit road in order to keep up the pace?
We'll see. I hear the call over the radio that Ryan Vargas is coming down pit road. Nick DeGroot is going to follow suit as well. So it looks like a little bit of cat and mouse going on here as DeGroot, Vargas, and a handful of drivers. Cummings, Ford Martin, Max Kinnon, just to name a few that are going to come down pit road. Right now, Anthony Alfredo cycles out to the race lead, although he pit a couple of laps after the race leaders would have. So he's got a little bit of wiggle room if he wants to try and trap these guys a lap down. He has a little bit of wiggle room to do so. And of course, he's out front and he's in clean air, so he may even be going faster right now.
He certainly may be as well, but he has Raja Caruth right behind him, who also has pitted under recent cautions as well. He's got actually 4 laps fresher tires compared to Anthony Alfredo, as Gary Sexton also is still out on the racetrack as well, trying to keep these drivers 1 lap down or possibly more in case a caution were to come out.
It's definitely a strategy, as now a couple of those drivers going to work their way onto pit road. Now Gary Sexton cycles out as the race leader. And actually Alfredo here looks like he's lost a little bit of time to Sexton right there. Actually, excuse timing and scoring just glitched for a second there. Now a battle for the lead side by side between Anthony Alfredo and Raja Caruth. Again, this was a battle that was going pretty heavy there for a couple of laps. And Caruth, oh, he scrapes the apron. Is he going to save it? He does. Oh no, he's going to nose it into the wall as Caruth is well off the racing surface. Will that be a caution? We'll see. But oh man, second mistake for Caruth tonight as he gets that left front on the apron. He nearly spins it onto the racetrack. One driver has to go beneath the racing surface, but it looks like for now he is below the apron. They're going to keep it going green, and that is going to cost Caruth a good shot at finishing on the lead lap in this race.
It certainly is. Now, with that pass we talked about Stephen Wilson making on James Davison right now in pit road, that should give the race lead over to Stephen Wilson, as Caruth, Alfredo, and Brett Baldeck will have to come down pit road in order to make it to the end, leaving Stephen Wilson now your race leader about 0.6 of a second over James Davison and almost a full second back from Nick DeGroot. So a big opportunity for Stephen Wilson to see if he can take home a victory here tonight.
Well, that extra lap of tire, you think it may not matter, but I tell you from experience, it certainly does. We'll see here is once again Alfredo going to work off of pit road right now. Brett Baldeck going to take control of the race lead. He is the lone driver that has yet to make his trip onto pit road, but a lot of these drivers, Anthony Alfredo last pit at lap 22 before obviously coming down this time. Brett Baldeck pit on lap 34, so he can go, by my calculations, he's probably about at the edge of that fuel window, but he can go about 5-6 more laps perhaps. And again, this is a strategy where if you get that caution, they're going to be in really good shape because everybody else is going to have to come down and get tires, and Baldeck may just cycle himself out to the race lead.
He certainly can, because he actually can save a little bit of fuel right now. He has about a 21-second advantage over Stephen Wilson right now, so he can actually save even a little bit more fuel if he wants to, or try to get tucked up behind somebody and just draft with them. Right now, that number 4 currently is got a car behind him and a car in front of him right now, so if he's able to manage it right, he can, in fact, try to see it managing that gap and holding on to this race lead. He actually has a group of cars right in front of him that if he can catch up to, he can actually just draft with them and save even more fuel.
Again, it's going to be a matter of timing, and he's going to have to get a caution flag. Again, he's only about 22 seconds right now is what timing and scoring is showing me in front of Stephen Wilson. So he's not going to be able to come out in front of those drivers once he makes that green flag pit stop. So it's going to be a case for many of these drivers on whether they can get that far. Although one wreck off of 4 right in front of the race leader, and that is going to be exactly what the doctor ordered for the number 4, Matthew Stalknecht. David Schildhouse and Max Kinnon get together out of turn number 4, and that is going to be caution flag number 7, and it looks like it cycles perfectly for Brett Baldeck.
Ask and you shall receive. Of course, commentator's curse coming into play here tonight for Monday Night Racing, but a big save for Brett Baldeck. Could he be someone we could be being the spoiler here tonight with a win here at Auto Club Speedway?
We'll see if they can, but really tough for David Schildhouse. He was having a strong run, as we were mentioning, newcomer to this series, and we're going to see what happened to him in this replay, exactly what caused this incident. Looks like getting into turn 3, Schildhouse on the top, and yeah, it looks like one car, the Valvoline machine, just moves up, gets a little bit tight, and unfortunately, David Schildhouse is along for the ride at that point. So the caution flag displayed for the 7th time, and now this is where it's going to get interesting, Taylor. Obviously, everybody can make it to the end on fuel. How many drivers are going to make their way onto pit road right now? Obviously, Baldeck, he'll have to do so, but will we see Wilson, Davison, or a couple other drivers keep the track position or get a couple lap fresher tires? It'll be interesting to see. Right now, it looks like Wilson, Davison, DeGroot, they'll all stay out.
Yeah, everybody has decided to stay out on the racetrack, except, of course, for Brett Baldeck. No other drivers have decided to come back down pit road at all. by the looks of things. So Gabriel Wood, actually one of the drivers who decided to come down pit road. But for the rest of the field, no, they are going to come out and stay on the racetrack, thinking that track position would be more important, which by looks of things of how the racing has been tonight, has been the case.
It has been. Well, as we work caution flag number 7 tonight, we'll go side by side once again. And when we come back, we'll take you all the way to the checkered flag live here on Podium eSports.
On one weekend, any driver can go from nothing to something.
Daniel Everhart winning the Podium eSports Daytona 500.
And something to nothing.
Oh, Derek Justice gets turned in front of the field. Derek Justice gets...
In an instant. Register now at podiumesports.com.
And back with you here for coverage of what's going to be a thrilling finish to the Stand Up to Cancer 160. I believe this time by we'll get the lights off on the pace car, and when we get back to the green flag, it'll be 10 laps to go. Of course, the scheduled distance of our 81 laps that we're set to do battle for tonight, and that's exactly right. Although lights will go back on the pace car, so it looks like we got 1 lap added to that, so it'll be 9 laps to go when we take the green flag. Well, once again, this is the Stand Up to Cancer 160, and Stand Up to Cancer works relentlessly to offer the newest, most effective, and most promising cancer treatments to patients quickly by bringing together the best minds to collaborate, innovate, and share cancer research. Stand Up to Cancer's mission is to raise funds to accelerate the pace of groundbreaking translational research that can get new therapies to patients quickly and save lives. Now, for more information, visit their website at standuptocancer.org. And we also want to give a shout out to Tufco Flooring, who is an industrial flooring company specializing in custom floors and drains. Tufco doesn't believe in the one-size-fits-all approach, and neither should you. Tufco listens to your needs and requirements and develops custom solutions for every client. For more information, visit their website at tufcoflooring.com. And Taylor, this is going to be a little bit different. We've seen tire saving. We've seen Nick DeGroot, who could obviously get runs on Davison a little bit earlier on in the night. That's not going to be the case, I think, in the last 10 laps. We're going to go balls to the wall, so to speak, here all the way to the end.
It's going to be white knuckle racing here tonight. A lot of action is going to happen in these final 10 laps to go here once we get things rolling here momentarily. But it's, of course, great to see drivers such as James Davison and Stephen Wilson up towards the front of the field. And, of course, the Monday Night Racing defending series champion Nick DeGroot up there battling as well. Those have been the 3 drivers to watch. But, of course, you got to count drivers such as DJ Cummings, Ryan Vargas as well, who have been up inside the top 5 all night long. And, of course, throw in drivers such as Ford Martin as well and Kobe Moore, who have been just right outside that top 5, but battling it out with the top contenders here tonight. So something to keep an eye on here as we close tonight's race here later on.
And I wouldn't put it past a couple of contenders who are just behind these battles. Covey Moore, obviously, as you mentioned, has been one that we've certainly had to keep our eye on. DJ Cummings, Anthony Alfredo, Ford Martin. There's been a handful of guys who have slowly worked their way forward, who have finally cracked the top 10. And I think we'll have to keep our eye on them as well, as, again, it is about to get chaotic. We saw 4 wide earlier for the race lead. I think that is a sign of things to come here in the next couple of laps, as we'll get the green flag with just right at 9 laps to go. Of course, we'll go to lap 81 should we not need a green-white-checkered to try and finish this thing out. So Stephen Wilson, James Davison, your top 2. Nick DeGroot on the inside of row number 2 with Covey Moore, who has not led tonight, directly to his outside. And then, of course, Ryan Vargas will round out the top 5. Anthony Alfredo in 7th, DJ Cummings in 6th. Should be a fun run to the end. Is pace car going to pull off? And immediately, Wilson, like the leaders before him, getting that quick launch off the drop of the green flag, and Davison going to be right with them, along with Covey Moore, who gets into the picture now as they almost look 3 wide into turn 1.
Covey Moore, where did he come from? We just talked about him before we got back. Green flag racing. He is up inside the top 3. He's going to dive, try to shoot the middle. Now dives.
Trouble back the pack. One car and several others pile in. Once again, it was a battle that I think was taking place, and just another driver clipping that apron. It's Paul Sutton, it looked like, who started that, and indeed that is going to be the case. Paul Sutton in the outside wall hard. He takes Josh Balicki with him. Garrett Miller in the ensuing chaos gets piled in. Michael Rossi, who I felt like I mentioned his name a couple of times in some accidents tonight. Brandon Brown also involved in this one, as it's about, I'm counting about 6 or 7 in total that were involved in this incident. And this has been the case, Taylor, in these stock cars that I think most of these drivers are used to driving here. You can clip the apron in 1 and 2. It'll lose you a little bit of time. You can even drive on the apron in turns 3 and 4, but these Indy cars, it is not like dipping below that white line. And we've seen time and time again that it has bit these competitors.
It certainly has, and unfortunately for these drivers here tonight, it's going to use up another fast repair for some of them, and it could possibly mean the end of the night for some other competitors if they've already hit that 3rd fast repair here tonight. So a tough break for several drivers. Of course, Paul Sutton, one of them, I think he's been involved in at least 4 or 5 incidents here tonight. So he's definitely going to be on the outside looking in, trying to see if he can even make it to tonight's finish.
Hoping that they can make it. You look on your screen, some games being played at the entrance of pit road, but I think you'd be hard-pressed to see any of these race leaders who are going to give up their track position to go down pit road and get some fresh tires at this point. I'd imagine with just a couple of laps to go, you are pretty much going to be full song to the end of this race. But looking out front, of course, Stephen Wilson, James Davison, they need no introduction, being in the NTT IndyCar Series. No shocker to see them doing as well here in iRacing, both looking for their first career Monday night racing victory. But Covey Moore has gotten a pair of victories in this series before, as he's looking to try and stamp his name. Of course, Nick DeGroot, the all-time wins leader, defending series champion. Of course, he has quite a resume. And by the way, it was DJ Cummings there with Apparel wins. Covey Moore looking for his first, but DJ Cummings won an IndyCar, although at a bit of a different race track. Talladega seems to be a little bit different than what we're seeing here, but of course it is a victory in an IndyCar, and DJ Cummings was able to get it done.
Yeah, a little information about Covey Moore. Covey Moore is the content manager over at motorsports.com. Of course, that's one of the biggest online motorsports news websites to get all your information for all things motorsports. But of course, he's out there putting on a good show in that number 15, motorsports.com, Dallara IR18. And I'm going to see if he can maybe try to see if he can go up another 2 steps on the podium to try to steal the win away from, of course, the 2 IndyCar drivers here tonight.
And a lot of drivers trying to get that prestigious win when you talk about the point standings coming into tonight. Of course, a couple of drivers that have missed out right now are trying to build a points advantage or just simply trying to lock themselves in. It looks like after this week, we initially had 6 drivers who were locked in by virtue of a win into the Monday Night Racing Season 2 playoffs. It appears that that is not going to be the case after Parker Kligerman no-showed for this event. He was required to show up for each of the remaining 3 races in the regular season to keep his spot in the playoffs, so that's no longer going to be the case. So it's just Nick DeGroot, Preston Pardis, Kyle Busch, Will Rogers, and Nick Sanchez who each have a win and have locked themselves into the playoffs. Right now, there's a lot of names up here that are trying to get into that conversation to try and drive their way in. Of course, DeGroot is locked in. DJ Cummings right now just sitting a couple of points in front of the cut line, so he's trying to kind of build up a little bit of an advantage right there, Taylor.
It certainly is, and have a look at the schedule for the next few races. We're taking the Porsche 911s to Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. which I'm pretty sure some of our drivers who competed in the NASCAR Truck Series are going to be familiar with. And of course, finally, the season finale, the regular season finale at Homestead with the Cup cars. And of course, that race, if you cannot get to watch any other races for Monday Night Racing, of course, we want you to watch every single race on Monday Night Racing. Make sure to watch the regular season finale, as we have two very prestigious guests going to be joining us up in the booth here that night. Of course, Larry McReynolds and Daryl Waltrip joining us. So that is going to be an exciting broadcast.
And of course, Adam Alexander going to be a part of that booth as well, and that is going to be something you don't want to miss. Calling it one of the great races or great racetracks to watch, start car racing, as we get going under the green flag once again. 5 laps to go when we take the stripe. Right now, Wilson and Davison, your top two NTT IndyCar stars, going at it here at the front of the field.
IndyCar drivers, motorsports reporters, NASCAR drivers, all battling it out for the race win here as they go down the back straightaway. Davison has a nose over Stephen Wilson. Kobe Moore looks on as Nick DeGroot goes high, wide, and handsome up towards the top side of the racetrack. Ryan Vargas goes bottom feeding towards the inside as Moore gets a little bit tight off corner exit. That will allow Nick DeGroot to go to the inside of him. He'll take over the 3rd spot.
And Wilson will have it at the line, doing as Davison was for a majority of this race, trying to make it work on the bottom. And here comes Nick DeGroot looking to the outside of James Davison off the corner. Not able to keep that grip in the high line, though, but the draft that he's going to use down the back straightaway may help him into 3 and 4. Here comes Kobe Moore looking to go to the bottom. They look 3 wide for just a moment as DeGroot goes to the top side once again.
Here they come off of turn number 4 down the front straightaway. We are going to be closing in on 5 laps to go. Vargas trying to find a slot to get through as Stephen Wilson still holds on to the race lead. Nick DeGroot up to the top side, though, as the caution comes out.
And a wreck in the back of the field is going to put that battle for the lead at a momentary halt, as I think it was in 3 and 4, and that's exactly right. No, it was on the front straightaway here at Auto Club Speedway. Once again, Kyle Busch has just not had a good night, and it looks like he gets run into the back of here by Matthew Stalknecht as they were working off the corner, and unfortunately that spins the Rowdy Energy Machine directly around right into oncoming traffic. Nowhere for David Schildhouse. As Kyle Busch, I believe that's going to be the 3rd of his 3 fast repairs, and really that's probably one of the smaller wrecks we've had tonight. Spinning across the track, you see one car splits both the spinning David Schildhouse and Kyle Busch. I believe that was the teal-colored machine of Roger Diebold, and yes, that is the case. Unfortunately, Diebold has just not had a good go of it. He's been involved in several accidents right here, but that 2-car wreck is going to halt us for the moment, and I believe Taylor may put us in green-white-checkered territory.
It certainly is going to be looking at that right now. As I'm looking at timing and scoring, we are currently running on lap 78. They're coming to complete lap 79. So yeah, this will be the first of 2 green-white-checkered attempts. Now, for those of you who are listening here tonight, of course, the same similarities as you would see in actual green-white-checkered. If the drivers are going to come to the green, if they get a caution between the time they come across the start-finish line to take the green and before the white flag, they're going to re-rack them up and try again. But if they take the white flag and an incident happens on track, they're going to race to the finish and see who will come out on top. Of course, though, instead of having multiple attempts, as far as like we see in NASCAR, it's only going to be 2 attempts of a green-white-checkered here tonight.
That will be the case, and we'll put it on the board. You see it go right up there. We'll actually see 3 right now. I'm showing, at least on my screen, 3 green-white-checkered attempts, so perhaps an extra one being added for tonight, and that's what I'm hearing in my ear. Yes, so we will have 3 attempts at a green-white-checkered tonight if we should so need it to get back. And like Taylor was saying, if we get to the white flag, we will race it out. No, regardless of what happens, we will race it back to the checkered. That's one of the benefits of sim racing, that you can barrel through an accident and everybody gets to just click the off button at the end of the night. So Stephen Wilson, James Davison, your top 2 as we start the first of 3 green-white-checkered attempts here. And Taylor, we've seen this time and time again, and I think at this point a lot of these drivers are going to be prepared for it. As soon as the pace car has been pulled off, I've barely been able to get the words out of my mouth before they go ahead and launch it, hit the throttle, and get going back under green. So I would not be shocked here, Taylor, if you're going to see a couple of guys that are starting in that second row, in that third row, Nick DeGroot, Covey Moore, Anthony Alfredo. I think they've been taking notes, and I wouldn't be surprised if our race control, Josh Mendoza, is going to have some interesting things to look at after this race, because those guys in those couple of rows, they're going to get a jump on this restart, let me tell you what.
They certainly are, and one thing they got to keep in mind of, James Davison, when he's on that outside row, he's been very quick to get to the inside. They need to, in order to try to keep James Davison on that outside lane, try to get right up on the back bumper of the car in front of them. So drivers such as Nick DeGroot need to stay on top of Stephen Wilson to keep Davison from sliding in front of them and risking a shot of missing out on winning tonight's race. That is going to be critical. Nick DeGroot, of course, is a specialized driver when it comes to driving IndyCar, so I'm pretty sure he will bring his A game on this green-white-checkered attempt.
Sure, everybody's going to bring their A game or as much of it as possible as we work towards the waning laps here, as we're going to go past our original 160-mile scheduled distance. Work it on the back straightaway, and even you can see on our shot right here that Stephen Wilson is giving the pace car plenty of space to try and get as early of a jump as possible. You typically see the drivers within about 4/10 of a second. You can even see on our overhead shot right there, look at the amount of space. It's about probably 12 car lengths, and I'm not much of a mathematician there, but you get my point. Wilson is giving the pace car plenty of space. He's going to try to go as early as possible.
Using some of the Indy cars and just tricks in the book as we see that right now, giving plenty of space and seeing if he can get a good jump on this restart here. We're going to find out what's going to happen. Pace car is about to get out of harm's way, and we're turning them loose.
Pace car will pull off, and immediately there you see the launch from Stephen Wilson and James Davison going to give a run to the two that run behind. Will we see the white flag, or will we have to rack them up and stack them once again? Right now, Wilson and Davison side by side in a 1 and 2.
Here comes Covey Moore with the head of steam. He gets around Nick DeGroot. He's on the back bumper of James Davison, gets a little bit tight as we see Stephen Wilson guarding the inside lane to try to prevent them from having to go to the inside. They're going to have to fight on the outside. Here comes Ryan Vargas to the outside lane.
And Vargas to that third lane, but it looks like that lane is too slow. Oh, in contact. Vargas is in the wall, and the caution is going to be thrown before we can get back to the white flag, as it looks like Covey Moore, who was trying to get all he could on the bottom there, just got a little tight behind in the dirty air, and unfortunately for Moore, right into Vargas. Nowhere for Ryan Vargas to go, and we are going to have to try it once again.
Rack them and stack them up again. Let's do it all over. We're going to see what's going to happen right here as we take a look at that replay once again. You see the hard contact for Covey Moore and Ryan Vargas. Of course, Vargas was having a great run on that outside lane. We could have had a shot at least to get to third, but here comes Covey Moore, as you see on screen, just gets too tight. There's the contact, and look at that. So thankfully, no other cars getting involved in the incident, but all that debris out on track. Gonna have to get a little bit of a cleanup down there and off of turn 4.
Indeed, that will be the case. As a couple of drivers, those were the two that started it. A couple other ones spin here through the grass. Michael Massey, Ron Capps were involved in this one. A couple other drivers, I believe I saw a pink car that was barreling into that accident that may not have escaped through. But regardless, that has been the case that we've seen a lot of spinners after the fact. That pink car was Drew Welker, but he actually got through that relatively clean. Ron Capps scraped the outside wall and had some damage to his machine. So that's typically the case here, that when we've seen two-car wrecks, it tends to multiply by the time it is all said and done. And indeed, yes, Michael Massey was involved in that one as well. So now, green-white-checkered attempt number 2, and the same as we had earlier. We'll try to get back to the white flag. If we cannot, I guess third time's the charm, and if not, it'll be the last attempt that we take at it. So I'm sure for Wilson and Davison, they want to see this thing out. But you know who's made up a couple of spots on each of our previous restarts? How about Anthony Alfredo right now, sitting in third?
Great run for him. He started in 20th position, worked up to that 3rd position. Another driver we're going to give a shout out to, Will Rogers, started 36th position. He's up to P9. So a great run for him as well in that number 65 Space Station Gaming, as he's going to see if he can find a way up through the field and see if he can get a top 5. And of course, another driver to keep an eye on. Congratulations to so far, Joshua Slate. Started 19th, is up to 7th. So a good run for them as well.
And there's been a handful of names that have had some good runs tonight. We've just been so focused on this great battle for the lead. It's been hard to list off a couple of names. Obviously, Will Rogers started all the way back in 36th. He's running in the 9th position. And, of course, he's a former race winner this season, so locked in already to the playoffs. There's been a lot of drivers who have snuck up from him. How about Seth Eggert? He was just recently involved in an accident. He may crack the top 10 before this thing is all said and done. But before we get going for Green-white-checkered attempt number 2, I want to remind you about a couple of upcoming events here on Podium Esports. Of course, the MPI Cup Series will be running once again next Sunday night at 9:15 p.m. Eastern from the Texas Motor Speedway. That will, of course, be live on the Podium Esports Twitch channel. Of course, twitch.tv/Podium Esports. And, of course, next Monday night, the Monday Night Racing League presented by Tufco Flooring. Porsche 911's GT3 Cup car will tackle Canadian Tire. Motorsport should be an exciting place to be for a lot of these drivers, and it should be really fun to watch the best in the business go at it in both the sim and media world of motorsports. Again, that'll be next Monday night right here at 9 p.m. Eastern on Podium, twitch.tv/Podium2. And, of course, the Podium 500 taking place at the beginning of February, starting on Thursday, February 4th, and concluding with the feature race on February 7th. That, of course, will be on Podium Esports. So a lot to look forward to in the next couple of weeks, a lot to look forward to in the next couple of laps, as it has been for the last couple of restarts. Stephen Wilson, James Davison, your top 2. Anthony Alfredo is in the mix alongside former winner at this racetrack in Season 1 and former champion Nick DeGroot. Who is going to take it home? We'll find out as pace car is going to pull off. We'll see who gets the jump off the start. Not so good for DeGroot. A great one for Alfredo and James Davison as they take off. Another great run for Ford Martin as well, as the green flag is out. 2 by 2 as they head into 1. Martin looking to the 3rd lane to take it 3 wide.
We're almost going to go 4 wide as a couple of cars are working their way through off of turn number 2 right now, as the caution is out again.
Caution flag out, and it has just not been a good night for Kyle Busch, as he got a run right there, runs into the back of a driver who kind of swerved at the last second. It looked like Garrett Miller in front of him. Unfortunately, Miller spins around. Kyle Busch also, I have to believe that is it on the fast repairs. I can't imagine how many times I've seen the Rowdy Energy machine crinkle like an empty can of Rowdy Energy there along the outside line, but it is just not been a good drive for Kyle Busch, who again was just almost in that battle with Nick DeGroot in Season 1. He just about brought it home, but unfortunately he has not had the luck on his side tonight.
Yeah, he tried to get a good jump on the outside lane. Of course, Garrett Miller decided to jump out before he could get in front of Kyle Busch and, of course, caused that incident. So a tough break for Kyle Busch here once again. Of course, Kyle Busch for the past couple of races has had some tough luck.
They have, and unfortunately, before we could get things going there at the front of the field, that is going to put an end to Green-white-checkered attempt number 2, and we will get our final attempt right here. 3 of 3. If we can't get back to the white flag, that will be all she wrote. Whoever is out front will win this race. It looks like up front, Martin may have had a nose on Anthony Alfredo, but it looks like the sim is going to get the spot to Alfredo. So Ford Martin, he got a fantastic jump on that last restart, used it to move forward a couple of positions. It moves Nick DeGroot back to 5th, but how about Ford Martin does a little bit of organizing and do a little bit of driving apparently as well, trying to make his way to the front.
He certainly is. He has done a great job here tonight. Of course, kept the car clean. That's probably one of the biggest things he's done all night, is keeping that car clean and in contention for a win. Of course, Ford Martin looking to collect his first ever Monday Night Racing's career win here tonight, and he's going to try everything that he can in order to do that. Of course, he has to go up against some of the biggest names in IndyCar.
He's going to have to if he's going to get it done. And of course, he'll be joining our broadcast booth for the All-Star race on February 1st. So it'll be a treat to see him hop out of the driver's seat and up here into the broadcast booth as we take a look right there. February 1st, the All-Star race. And of course, the one you don't want to forget, the season finale, regular season finale, I guess I should say, at Homestead Miami Speedway. Adam Alexander, Larry McReynolds, and Darrell Waltrip going to be gracing that broadcast booth. So some big names that you aren't going to want to miss are going to tackle that one. It should be a lot of fun to see those Cup cars race around one of the best tracks in the service to do it on, the Homestead Miami Speedway. We all, I think, know both in real life and in the virtual world that that is one of the best racetracks that you can go out there and get it done in. So I think at this point, Taylor, Wilson, tricks, whatever you have up your sleeve, I think you've used them all up at this point. I'm not sure what else you could come up with to try and get a little bit of advantage on this restart.
You need to try to find that advantage once again. You're going to have to try to keep doing what you're doing and try to change it up a little bit, so that way you see drivers such as James Davison, Nick DeGroot, Anthony Alfredo don't pick up on those little hints that you have in order to try to capitalize on those restarts that they were about to have here momentarily. But of course, it's going to be interesting to see, can Stephen Wilson finally take home a checkered flag here? He's come close a couple of times this season, but can he finally capitalize and take home the win? We're about to find out. James Davison, of course, had a great run last week in the Pro 2 trucks at Watkins Glen. Can he have the momentum on his side to take home his first career Monday Night Racing victory?
We'll see if we can do it, but I really like the position right here that both Anthony Alfredo and Ford Martin are in. I think early in the run, again, we don't talk about dirty air until we get to the white flag lap, because you're just not going fast enough for it to matter. So that draft into 1 and 2, I think, is really going to help those guys. Obviously, Davidson's not going to do anything to help Wilson. So those two battling side by side, I think that could really help somebody like Alfredo or Martin build up enough of a run here on this restart. Again, assuming that we stay green, to go out and they may have their own shot to try and either cut low or make a move up the middle, something to try and make something happen up here. I doubt, again, we're up against some IndyCar veterans here, so it'd be very hard to see that. But I think Wilson, Davison may be just out to lunch here as they're sitting up at the front of the field. But we're about to go green. The pace car is about to pull off. I mean, Wilson has a second and a half between he and the pace car, and they're actually going to throw the caution flag, delayed green, just before we get going. And I think perhaps, Taylor, that may be a call from race control, because Wilson was giving the pace car so much room. I think race control just got in there and was like, hey, we need to make this a little fair.
A little bit fair, a little bit more of it, make sure everybody's even out, of course. Of course, this isn't like IndyCar too much. I mean, yes, we're driving these IndyCar cars, but we kind of try to keep it a little bit closer to where that pace car is waiting, to where he was actually right in front of the leaders, instead of giving such a large gap like we normally would see in an IndyCar race. So got to keep it a little bit closer, tighten the field up just a little bit, and possibly also not try to stack up the field and end this race under caution. So a good call by race control in order to get things ready, make sure everything's good to go.
It's a good call by race control, but also the racer in me 100% sympathizes with what Stephen Wilson was trying to do right there. I can guarantee you, if I was behind the wheel of this IndyCar, I would be doing everything in my power to try to give me an advantage on this restart, especially, again, when you're the leader, you don't have that draft in front of you. You know at some point you're just going to have to hold the bottom and hope that either a caution comes out or Davison just isn't able to make it work on the high side. So trust me, I know it may have sounded harsh on Wilson there, but I cannot blame him one bit for trying to take every little advantage that he can. And even now, he'll pull up to the pace car, pulls back a little bit. Again, racers or something. I just love it. But Wilson, Davison, your top two, Alfredo and Martin directly behind them, or could we see someone in row 3 or even further behind take the checkered flag here? We're about to find out as we are through for our final green-white-checkered attempt. Wilson is away, so is James Davison. They are side by side as they head into 1 and 2.
Cars getting up to speed as they dive. Oh, big wiggle for Wilson. There he goes around, and we are going to keep going by the looks of it. No yellow flag whatsoever. We are racing to the end.
And Wilson somehow went around. I don't know if it was a shifting issue, but nevertheless, Wilson is around. They're going to try to keep it green as long as they can. Davison in the bottom. He slips up on the apron. They stack up behind them. DeGroot up the middle. Alfredo is on the apron. They're going to be 3 wide as they approach the white flag. DeGroot with the run to the middle. One more trip around.
Here they go down the front straightaway into turn 1 for the final time. DeGroot on the top side, Davison to the inside as we watch and see if Anthony Alfredo and Nick DeGroot will try anything to get the race lead away. Down the back straightaway, Davison throwing the block if need be.
And they have some traffic in front of them as DeGroot now side by side with Davison into 3 and 4 for the final time. Davison down low, DeGroot up top, and Davison looks like he's going to have enough. Davison is going to stand up to cancer and win the stand up to cancer 160, holding off Nick DeGroot, who was looking for a second straight victory at this racetrack. Anthony Alfredo finishes in third as they were racing around some debris that was scattered all over the track. But what a thrilling finish. James Davison is your winner.
James Davison, congratulations. You are a winner of Monday Night Racing, but heartbreak as well for Stephen Wilson, who was one of the drivers who was a favorite to win here tonight. And of course, Nick DeGroot picking up where he left off, was just showing the dominance that he has in these Indy cars, coming home in second place. A great race to cap off here tonight.
It certainly was, and I can't imagine what Stephen Wilson is feeling right now after leading for so long. Ends up spinning and taking a couple of cars with him. Again, race control was over the speaker system, letting us know exactly if they were going to be able to finish this out under green, because of course they were all stacked up in 1 and 2, and they wanted to make sure the track was clear for when everybody else came around. And a shout out to race control for letting us see a green flag finish to that race. But James Davison is your winner tonight. Nick DeGroot brings it home in second. Anthony Alfredo, Fast Pasta, rounds out the podium tonight. He'll finish in third. Ford Martin, a solid effort for him. He finishes in the 4th position, former winner this season. Will Rogers, and actually the defending winner from last week's race, he follows it up with a top 5 finish tonight. Matthew Stallknecht, he started on the pole, had some issues, but ended up finding his way to 6th. 7th was Greg Stump. Robbie Lyons finishes up in the 8th position. Devin Henry in 9th, and Roger Diebold finishes up in 10th.
Kobe Moore will come home in 11th, followed by Stephen Ellis in 12th position. Drew Welker will come home in 13th, followed by Ron Capps in 14th position. 15th goes to Brett Baldeck, followed by Gary Sexton in 16th position. 17th position goes to Gabriel Wood, followed by Garrett Miller in 18th. 19th goes to Jason Keffer. Rounding out your top 20, the first car 1 lap down, Joshua Balicki.
The first car lap down, as you mentioned, 21st to Joshua Slate, 22nd was Seth Eggert, 23rd after getting wrapped up in that incident late in the going was Ryan Vargas. A tough break for the driver of the 6 machine. DJ Cummings as well was so strong all night. He finishes in 24th. Stephen Wilson spins on the final green-white-checkered. He will finish 25th, 2 laps down. 26th to Max Kinnon, 27th was Michael Massey. Tough luck again for David Schildhaus. He finishes in 28th in his series debut. 29th, it was a tough night for Rowdy. He finishes up in 29th, and 30th was Brandon Brown.
31st goes to Nick Sanchez, followed by Michael Rossi in 32nd. 33rd goes to Paul Sutton, followed by Rajah Caruth in 34th. 35th goes to Noah Lewis, followed by Jesse Vaughn, 36th, and TJ Majors. He will be finishing in 37th.
And that'll round out your field. But right now we head to victory lane with a very happy James Davison, who is able to get it done tonight. And James, you look like a veteran out there. It looks like you made it look easy.
Yeah, it wasn't. It was very competitive. Honestly, that was as competitive as the official IndyCar iRacing challenge during the lockdown with the real top drivers. Stephen Wilson and Nick DeGroot were for sure my main competitors the whole night. I figured they would be prior to the green flag. And just obviously it was about being competitive at minimizing mistakes coming in to pit lane and out. And Steph and I had good in and out laps. We worked well together. And yeah, I don't know what happened to him on that restart. I mean, I was just chatting to him on our Discord, and he wasn't any different with his bar settings or his tire wear, weight jacket than I was, and he just lost it. So I feel for him, honestly. He deserved at least a 1-2 finish somewhere in there. But yeah, that was crazy on the last few laps with all those massive runs those guys had on me. And yeah, respect to the other drivers for, you know, racing hard but fair.
I was about to say, probably one of the toughest positions out there is being the race leader, because you know that they're going to get these massive runs, and you're just really sitting on the bottom hoping that the high side just doesn't work out for them.
Yeah, well, if you were on top of your driving and all your adjustments, you knew your track position was pretty safe. As you may have seen, Nick and I had a pretty long race there for 20 laps or so in one of the stints where he just couldn't get underneath me. But you had to be on top of your adjustments. It was very easy to get loose. And if you had to lift, you know, that's how the guy on the outside gets around. So you really had to be perfect, really on top of your hitting your marks and your bar and weight jacket settings. And then, yeah, just pray to the racing gods at the end that the other guys with the big runs aren't just going to hold it wide open and clean you up. So yeah, like I said, respect to the other drivers, because that was very competitive, and at the front everyone was very professional.
Well, as somebody who obviously in the real motorsports world kind of hangs your hat on racing in multiple disciplines, how does it feel to come here to Monday Night Racing, where obviously there are many different types of track types, car types that you guys tackle, and to be able to come out here and get a win, what does it say about you?
I guess that's not for me to say, but yeah, it feels good, especially, yeah, with how competitive it is and some of the other names in the race that have achieved things. You know, if it's Kyle Busch, or, you know, you got Alfredo, Cup driver, or Stefan Wilson, you know, he's led the Indy 500. Yeah, you know, it was against some good guys, and this iRacing is just so realistic these days. It's impressive how realistic it is. It really is. And what's so great about it is the fixed setup. You know, there's no Team Penske, there's no Target Chip Ganassi or Andretti advantage. Everyone's got exactly the same car, and that obviously doesn't exist in real racing. And it's very refreshing and exciting to jump on this stuff on an equal platform.
It certainly is. It makes it very entertaining for, I'm sure, both you drivers and us in the booth. But James, I'll throw you the mic one more time. Anybody want to give a shout out to? Obviously, this is your chance to do so.
Well, I was running the Bird racing car that I ran the 2019 Indy 500 in. So yeah, Bird Racing, and yeah, shout out to Rick Ware as well. You know, he jumped on board with us for the Indy 500 last year, and obviously it was the Indy 5. We did 5 miles, 2 laps before we obviously infamously caught on fire. So hopefully this is you know, a little bit of a consolation. Obviously, not much, but a little bit.
All right, James. Well, congratulations tonight, and we'll see if you can try to make it 2 in a row next week when the Cup cars tackle Homestead.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Going to most sport, rather, but nevertheless, we'll wish you luck there.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.
All right, so very happy James Davison. He'll exit the booth here, and we'll catch up with Nick DeGroot, who about made it 2 in a row here at this racetrack. He's caught up with Taylor Burris.
Here with Nick DeGroot, coming home in second place here tonight. Nick, you had a great car from start to finish, but just ran out of time coming to the checkered. How was your race feeling with the conditions of the track overall, though?
Yeah, I was confident that entire race. I thought we had a car to win, and I knew from the beginning that pretty obviously the 2 guys that were going to be the hardest to beat in an IndyCar were the IndyCar drivers, was Stefan Wilson and James Davison, and that's exactly what happened. They were up front that entire race, and at the end there, when chaos reigned, I was just trying to put myself in a position.
it certainly that seems to be the strategy here tonight. Just trying to stay out of trouble, keeping your car clean, and you could be there at the finish. We saw that for pretty much all of you drivers, except coming to on that last lap with Stephen Wilson. You know, when you saw that incident, how confident did you feel about maybe having a shot to take the fight over to James Davis and coming to the line?
Oh, I legitimately thought I had a real shot at the win when I saw Stefan spinning, which sucks for him because he was so good that whole race and terrible way for it to end. But going into turn 3, coming to the white flag, James actually got on the apron and had to check up. And that was my moment to get him, except I was blocked in and I couldn't do anything. And I had to lift, and thankfully Alfredo behind me, he lifted too, or else we would have all wadded up. So we still came in with a podium. We survived, which is more than a lot of people can say. But yeah, I really wanted that win. But once he was holding that bottom in that last lap, I knew there wasn't much I could do. I could try to time it, but he held it really good, really firm down there.
All right, well, next week we head up north to Canada for Canadian Tire Motorsports Park in the Porsche 911 GT3 Cup cars. How confident do you feel about going there?
I'm excited. Last time we were in a road course race in this league, I won. So we got a lot of big names now. So I'm not sure if we're going to be the best, but I'm confident in our road course abilities, and it's exciting to do something a little different after so many ovals. So yeah, I can't wait to go there and start turning right.
All right, well, Nick, before we let you go, who would you like to give a shout out to and say thank you to?
Just thank you to these guys that organized the league, Covey Moore and Factory Back Motorsports. Sucks for him. I was hoping he would get a top 5, but he got caught up in the drama at the end there. But yeah, just those guys, and look forward to next week.
All right, that is Nick DeGroot coming home in second place here tonight. And Blake McCandless, you caught up with our final podium finisher here tonight, Mr. Anthony Alfredo.
Well, Anthony, it looked like those late restarts played perfectly into your favor. It seemed like every time we had a late restart, or once we got into those green-white-checkers, it seems you were going a spot or two up each time out. So what was it on those late restarts that seemed to work out for you there?
I think just the track position and being on the bottom. I had really great restarts all night long and tried to capitalize on the position we were in when we were 7th, 5th, and 3rd. We just kept getting the bottom lane, which was fortunate. I actually felt pretty comfortable on the top 2. So I don't know if that was a huge part as much as just trying to time your run properly. You could get absolutely enormous runs in the IndyCar, especially at a track like this where you got the long straightaways and you could just build a lot of momentum. So that was key for the end of this race. And it wasn't we had the end result that we've had so many times this year, another podium finish, which is great. I love this league. It's so competitive. It's so much fun, and appreciate all the work that goes into it from all you in the booth and Ford behind the scenes. I always look forward to Monday nights because of this. So I had a great stream too, and everyone hanging out with me, which I appreciate. I wish we could have been a couple spots better, but hope we gave an exciting finish for the fans. Just got stacked up on the bottom there. I think James might have caught the apron a little bit. All I know is I saw Nick check up for him, and I had to check up. Obviously, I had nowhere to go and stalled my momentum. I felt like that was my shot right there, and tried to build it back up, but just ran out of laps.
He did catch it a little bit, but luckily I think Nick was appreciative that both you and him kind of recognized that and didn't wad it up and gave us a good finish to the line right there. But I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the big news that obviously has kind of rocked the NASCAR world for the last week, the announcement that you'll be driving full-time in the NASCAR Cup Series for Front Row Motorsports in 2021. What's kind of this been as a way? I know there's probably a lot of people reaching out to you, trying to talk to you, do all those things. What's it like to just come out here and be able to stream, be able to go iRacing and have fun like this when I'm sure there's a lot going on in your life right now?
Absolutely. It's been actually really nice because this has been one of the most amazing weeks of my life, and very thankful for everyone who's helped get me here. It definitely hasn't been easy. A lot of hard work's gone into it, and just being at the right place at the right time sometimes as well. But feel very blessed to do what I love for a living, and very thankful to have a platform like Twitch to go live and engage with my fans and the community, and kind of just continue building just so many great relationships with people through iRacing and Twitch itself. So I like to utilize my platform to do good for others. It's something I've always inspired to do, and as long as at least one person in the stream tonight had a smile on their face because of something that happened, that makes me satisfied with each stream. So it's good to be back and kind of unwind a little bit and share the excitement with everyone who was hanging out with me.
Well, absolutely. You know, you got a lot of friends and a lot of fans in this community who will be rooting you on, and we're all very appreciative of what you've done for us. And obviously, we hope that you go out there in 2021 and give them a good show. So appreciate you joining up here tonight. And of course, congratulations on notching yourself on the podium.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Anthony Alfredo brings it home in third, and Taylor, chaos was the name of the game here in this race. And you know, I don't think California disappointed here. Whenever we come out here to Auto Club Speedway, especially with these Indy cars, we heard the runs were massive. Obviously, a lot of air games being played in the corners, but at the end of the day, it made for a spectacular show.
It certainly is, and it's still going to be an amazing thing. Even though the real Auto Club Speedway won't be anymore as far as the 2-mile configuration, we can still enjoy those same great racing actions here on the iRacing service from years to come. So it's going to be a privilege to see these guys racing here week after week later on down the road, if we ever come back here with, of course, the Indy cars or even the Cup cars, because both series provided great racing action just like we saw here tonight. Tough break for a lot of championship contenders, though, that we just saw here. Kyle Busch, of course, out of the race late in the going after getting caught up in multiple incidents. Matt Stalkconnect, another driver who is not one of the drivers who's won a race this season, but due to the fact that the points he accumulated was a strong run, not a good finish for him tonight. So it's going to be difficult for him later on, as we're just 2 races away now before we go into the playoffs.
That is the case. There's not a lot of time for these drivers to try and get it done throughout the rest of the regular season. But of course, we'll have to tune you into that. Next Monday night, the Porsche 911 GT3 Cup car will tackle Mosport, and we can't wait to see you alongside for coverage of the Monday Night Racing League as it continues. But for us today, that's going to sign us off. So for myself, Blake McCandless, my broadcast partner, Taylor Burris, as well as our producer, Ryan Bauer. For everybody over at Podium eSports, James Pyatt, Gary Sexton, John Theodore, and everybody over there, I am Blake McCandless saying so long from the Auto Club Speedway, where once again we bid farewell. And congratulations to James Davison, your winner of the Stand Up to Cancer 160. We'll see you next time.